Hello everyone and welcome to the Culture Cast. I'm Chris Stashew and my lovely co-host Eric is currently on the wrong side of the river in Egypt, but I am joined by my good friend, I'm glad to call him a good friend, Mr. Mike Wallace of OughtFiveFilms.
Hello again. Yes, good friend is a good description.
Becoming closer
point, right?
every day.
Yeah, man.
Every time we talk, it's like, oh yeah, that too. Me too.
Yeah, it's really bizarre how alike we are.
Yeah. And recently you released a video about what I would consider to be, I would agree with you, the best vampire movie ever made. We're going to early plug your video.
Well, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I worked my ass off on that thing. Yes, Near Dark, the greatest vampire film ever made. I will fight people about that.
And it's a true story because it's a good film made by a good female director.
Yeah. Is she the best female director out there? She might be. I don't know, maybe. Certainly up there in the top. And that to me is her favorite, my favorite movie of hers. And written by Eric Red, who wrote The Hitcher. So that movie alone would rank him high as one of my favorite screenwriters. Never mind writing. Then as a follow up, just the best vampire movie ever made.
You mean the one with Sean Bean? Time to leave.
Yeah, man, that was pretty rough, that one.
Yeah, that movie is really, really fucking bad. But speaking of movies that are remakes, this movie's technically a sequel, but it's kind of a remake. We're going to be talking about Desperado, otherwise known as, and I think this is pretty apt, the action sequel equivalent of Evil Dead 2.
I was just about to say, yes, that is more of a remake than an actual sequel to that film, so as this is.
Yeah, they acknowledge the first film in this movie, but it's not really a sequel. I mean, it is a sequel because they acknowledge the first movie. I would say this much. This is more of a sequel to El-Mariachi than Evil Dead 2 is a sequel to Evil Dead.
Yeah, I mean, in Evil Dead 2, they kind of recount the entire first film in the first, 6 or 7 minutes. They just, they do the whole thing and then they go from there. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much more to the story until they start time traveling and whatever. But, this is definitely a sequel remake in that mold. And did we need it?
I don't know. The first scene in this movie is pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, I might be inclined to say that is actually the best scene in the entire movie.
I might be inclined to agree with you.
Yeah, and it's entirely because of Steve Buscemi.
I was talking about the scene where Antonio Banderas is playing the guitar standing on the bar.
Oh, no. Oh, that scene.
No. That mariachi.
No, man. That scene is terrible. I'm talking about the scene, the scene with Steve Buscemi where he sort of lays the groundwork for this guy. And the way that's shot, I really enjoyed that. The scene you're talking about, oh my God, so bad.
Okay, well, we're talking about Desperado. Film is directed and written by then rather unknown, not really, this was his second film, Mr. Robert Rodriguez of From Dusk Till Dawn, the Grindhouse double feature, Spy Kids, yeah. The Grindhouse double feature that nobody fucking went and saw, unfortunately. Sin City and I saw it too. I saw it in theaters. I was one of the 2 people, you and I, that was it, that saw it in theaters.
You know what? I was a projectionist, so technically I didn't. I did pay for it because I went and saw that movie at the drive-in.
Oh, there you go. And that movie's great. But this film, however, stars Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, and Joaquim de Almeida. And it's pretty much just a retelling of El-Mariachi, which was kind of a retelling of the Man with No Name trilogy films. It's Robert Rodriguez's take on the Man with No Name trilogy, to the point where Antonio Banderas' character doesn't even have a name. He's just El-Mariachi. So
right, and then the third film, he went and called it Once Upon a Time in Mexico, capping off that sort of spaghetti western flavor.
Which, oh man, that third.
Yeah. Oh, wasn't it good? No, it was not.
well, I'm sure we will talk about it.
One good line does not a great movie make.
I was visiting a bar, and in he walked. You saw his face? His face? No. I mean, every step he took towards the light, just when you thought his face was about to be revealed, it wasn't. It was as if the lights dimmed, just for him.
They called him a loner.
I know who you are.
Really?
You kill drug dealers.
I killed the woman I loved. You ruined my life.
They called him a miss. You've heard stories of that man that carries a guitar case full of weapons. Find him and kill him.
I hope you don't think you can take someone like Ucho all by yourself.
Really?
They made the mistake of calling his bluff.
Is there something in the guitar case? My guitar?
Now, it's time to face the music.
Let's play.
Desperado, the new film from Robert Rodriguez.
What did you think of Desperado rewatching it?
Okay, yeah. Now, so let me preface this by saying that I saw the movie when it came out. This was 95, right?
Yep.
I think so. Okay. Now, I had seen El-Mariachi, and I was not as impressed with the movie as I think every film nerd was at the time. That the sort of hype around that first movie, that he only made it for $3,000, and it looked much better than it possibly could have for that amount of money, not taking into account the fact that he basically had an entire town donating everything to him anyway. I thought that movie was okay, so I was really interested to see what he could do with the budget. And I remember being not all that impressed with the movie at the time, and that might be because I was neck deep in the films of John Woo, which this film obviously emulates. But I thought, given the amount of time that had passed, when I reevaluated it, I would like it more. And as it turns out, I liked it much, much less. I think, in fact, Chris, had Antonio Banderas not been in this movie, I may have turned it off about halfway through.
Well, so I think you touched on something that is going to be kind of a reoccurring theme on this Culture Cast. El-Mariachi's not a good movie.
Okay, good. I'm glad we agree on that.
It's okay, but
it's okay.
Let me put it this way. Evil Dead 1 is okay. Evil Dead 2 is amazing. And no, yes?
Well, you know what? If we're making this analogy of these two movies,
right?
I do know what you're going for. However, I can watch Evil Dead and enjoy it, and I can watch Evil Dead 2 and enjoy it on different levels. I cannot watch El-Mariachi because I think it's garbage. And now I can't watch this movie either because I think it's equally pretty bad. I mean, this is a lot glossier, no question about it.
This movie has a lot of stuff in it that just makes it almost unwatchable.
And there's a lot of meandering for no good reason. There's scenes that pay off not at all. Okay, you know what? I will say the one thing I took away from the movie when I first saw it, and I will go back to it again here, is this is the first time I think anybody saw Danny Trejo. And we know him a lot better now, but I remember sitting in the theater and watching him, and as soon as he came on screen going who the fuck is that guy? I want to follow him. And they give him one scene and then he's gone, man.
Well, he was confused for the mariachi.
Yeah, that was an issue, I guess. But I still think maybe that scene's the best scene in the movie. I don't know. I like the opening scene, but him, when he starts throwing knives at everybody, it's pretty great, man, when he's taking on everybody all at once.
I really, like you said, I mean, the thing that makes me kind of give a lot of the problems with this movie a pass is Antonio Banderas, because he's extremely charismatic as El Mariachi, or as they call him in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, El.
The scene with him and the kid where he's teaching the kid how to play guitar is so terrible, but I'm watching him and I'm like, yeah, he's really good. He's this scene is so cliche and stupid, but everything he's doing, I want to hear what he's saying. I want to know more about him. I said it at the top, man. If he wasn't in this movie, I would be Yeah, no, that's enough.
No, I mean, Antonio Banderas is a fantastic actor. I don't think he gets, I don't know, like he's kind of not around as much anymore.
He doesn't seem to be, does he?
Not as much as he used to be. I mean, I know he's in that new show, I know he's in Picasso.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that
Picasso.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that.
And I know he's also in that the New Mutants movie that comes out next year.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't seen him in much of anything. So, which is kind of a bummer because again, like I really like Antonio Banderas.
Remember,
he's also Puss in Boots.
That is true. He does good work in those movies.
Yeah, he really elevates an otherwise meme worthy film. I mean, the thing I always remember Antonio Banderas from is his role as Che Guevara in Evita.
That's what you remember him from?
I saw that movie a lot growing up as a kid. My parents loved the musical.
Oh, okay. I think I saw that movie just the one time. I mean, I knew him from sort of the late 80s, early 90s when he was doing all the Pedro Almodovar. Is that how you pronounce it? Movies.
That's how us white people pronounce it. So
okay, Almodovar? Or is it Almodovar? I don't know. Either way, whichever the pronunciation is, I remembered him from those movies. So that was another thing. Like I said, I didn't like El-Mariachi, but then when this movie was coming out and just seeing the previews and stuff, and like I was like, oh, well, it's going to be Antonio Banderas. This is going to be great. Like, I can't wait for this movie. So that was kind of an even bigger letdown that the movie sort of failed him. He didn't fail the movie.
Unlike you were saying, I enjoy parts of this movie, but I think the problem is like I am completely agreeing with you. Maybe I just remember the fun parts of this movie so fondly that I kind of forget that there's other really bad stuff.
Yeah, man, there are like a couple of good scenes surrounded by garbage.
Yeah, I mean that the scene in the bar at the beginning is great.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other scene in the bar where he's actually in the bar is awesome.
Oh,
with Tarantino.
Okay, that whole scene. Okay. I gotta say, by that point in the movie, I was tired of people shooting each other, which is a bad thing for a movie where everyone is shooting each other all the time. I did like the end of that scene when he and that accountant are trying to find a gun with bullets left in it. Like, I thought that was clever and fun.
Yeah, that part's great. I can see feeling kind of like exasperated with the film and it's like, over the top, hyper stylized violence. Because I mean, Robert Rodriguez, let's be honest here, if we're talking about a director that pretty much complements Tarantino,
yeah,
I and this is just me, I prefer Rodriguez over Tarantino. I mean, we've had our
like as a visual stylist.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, as much as I have problems with this film's script, like, I would rather watch this because this at least feels like an original idea over, like, Kill Bill
I don't know, man.
Or Inglourious Bastards, which are just, like, straight trip and ripoffs.
Right, I know, but you're talking about, like, late-era Tarantino. I think, I mean, look, I know he was ripping stuff off from the get-go.
Yeah.
Is this story any different than any sort of, revenge kind of flick? Like, not really. There's nothing going on plot-wise.
He carries a guitar case with a gun in it.
No, I know, right? Let's talk about the crotch gun for a minute, shall we? Could he never do that again,
please? The crotch
please?
gun that is in this movie and then makes its way into a film that's better than this movie?
Yeah.
If you've never seen From Dusk Till Dawn, go watch that. And I know you don't like the second half of that movie, but
I think it's okay. I think
it becomes like a really goofy bottle vampire film that doesn't work.
I don't know. I think it needed to not be an action movie. I think it needed to be like a scary horror movie. But then that's just me. I think horror should be scary and not actiony. Unless you're doing Evil Dead, and then in which case it's but that's its own thing.
That's what that was trying to be. I feel like was like Evil Dead.
Yeah, me too. And it was like the wrong tone because they had set it up so seriously the first half.
Yeah, when Quentin Tarantino rapes and kills someone. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that scene is fucking great, man. Like,
or when they shoot Michael Parks in the back of the head and he's just like wriggling on the floor, which is just upsetting to watch.
Yeah, man. That first half of that movie, you and I have talked about it, but I think like the first half of From Dusk Till Dawn might be the best thing that either of these guys have done as far as an original work. I don't feel an antecedent to that at all. I mean, maybe a little bit of like The Getaway, the Peckinpah film. But anyway, what are we talking about? Desperado? Oh, here's a point that I wanted to make, Chris, because I was thinking about it last night. The sort of heavy criticism during the 70s and early 80s about Steven Spielberg was that all he was really doing was taking B pictures and making them into A pictures, right? So he was
like
taking the more sort of, so like Jaws, if that had come out in the 50s, it would have been the third feature on a bill with like some better movies. And now he's saying like, well, I like the third feature. That should be the A picture. And I think he did that very successfully. And I think Tarantino, if whatever his legacy is going to be, is that he sort of took those C and D grade movies, those sort of exploitation movies, and made them respectable in the way that Spielberg was making the slightly lesser movies more respectable. But to me, it feels like Rodriguez is taking like the bottom of the barrel movies, but only elevating it up to like C level.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, Robert Rodriguez has never gotten the mainstream Oscar nomination stuff, horse shit that Tarantino has got.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to put it on those terms where, as far as respectability within the Hollywood community or whatever, but like there's nothing of his work is going to last in the way that Tarantino's has.
Right.
But I don't think his work has elevated anything. I think he thinks it's better than it is. And it's like I said, visually, it's beautiful. I mean, he's a better director than a lot of people out there. But, I don't know. If he dissolves 6 times in one scene one more time, though, I'm going to have to kill him myself. Every scene fades out with what should be 2 characters walking off screen to them fading, like a dissolve, and then they disappear. Did you notice that? It happened like 700 times.
No, I didn't, but I bet if I go watch it again, I will.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this much about Rodriguez versus Tarantino. I don't think they're trying to do the same thing, right? Because Rodriguez made films that Tarantino would never touch with a 10-foot pole.
True.
I mean, he made Spy Kids.
Yeah, no, Tarantino wasn't going to make those movies.
No, and he made Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And like those, and like Shorts, another like children's film.
Yeah.
So like he made these films that like Tarantino would never touch.
No.
And so for me, it's like, I like that about Rodriguez is that he has really like flexed his muscles a little bit as a filmmaker. Sure. Yeah, they're not great, but I mean, at least he's just not, that's the thing, like Tarantino kind of always just makes the same movie.
Yeah.
Right? That's like a huge criticism of Tarantino. And you know what? I'm going to say it again. I've said it before. If you love Pulp Fiction, congratulations. You have a majority opinion that so many college kids who also have a Bluto poster from Animal House share. Congratulations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Pulp Fiction for me was like, all my buddies in college loved it. And I was like, I like Reservoir Dogs more. I was the same way. I have always said that. That will never change. Because that movie has better performances. I think it's just a better movie overall.
Yeah. So, and his writing is so sharp there.
Yeah.
It sparkles.
Just that scene with them at the table in Reservoir Dogs is better than anything in Pulp Fiction.
I agree with you 100% on that.
But Pulp Fiction has, that cool Samuel L. Jackson quote that I think is just absolutely the most cringy shit. And it's not
are we talking about the Bible quote?
Storyline. Yeah, the Bible quote that's not actually a Bible quote that he came up with, that he made up.
No, he didn't even come up with it, man. He ripped it off from another movie. There was I forget what the film is, but it that was the opening crawl in it.
Was it?
I think it was like an Italian gangster movie, and that was the opening sort of crawl, and then that movie began, and he just saw that movie and went, "That's cool," and he put it in his.
Oh, so great. So what a fucking surprise. So
yeah, dude.
This is the thing, and like I figured we were going to talk about Tarantino because Tarantino and Rodriguez are like inexorably linked with one another.
Sure, he's in this movie.
Yeah, he is playing himself.
Totally.
And you ask kind of how is Tarantino going to be viewed, and this is a really shitty thing for me to say, but I don't think it's outside of the realm of realism, and I think you may know where I'm going with this. I feel like Tarantino's gonna get Me Too. Like,
yeah,
big
you think
time. So? I think so. Like reading some of the stuff that I know about him, like the thing with Uma Thurman on the set of Kill Bill. Like,
that's right. That's unconscionable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like, and I think someone I know said something to the effect of like there was a story and it kind of got squashed, so that wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah, well, we'll see, huh?
I mean, look, I'm no fan of Tarantino. Do I want to see his life go into shambles? Of course not. That's terrible. But
No, of course not.
But I mean, I can't stop you from having done dumb shit.
I will say this though: if we have to compare the two, I'd probably watch a Tarantino movie over a Rodriguez movie.
It depends on what Tarantino movie. Because if I watch a Rodriguez movie, at least I have most of my day left.
Well, there's always that.
Tarantino movies are like 3.5 hours, and
Yeah, no, I know.
an hour of that movie you could cut out because it's just Tarantino doing his, Tarantinoism shit.
Right, and that is a plague in this movie as well, though, because, like, that whole scene with him, what is the point of it? Why is it there? Who gives a shit?
It's so Tarantino can get his fucking head blown off.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I remember thinking at the time, even that I saw it, like, well, that was good, at least. At least we get to see him get shot in the head. But, like, that whole joke and then him going upstairs, like, where does that lead to anything? It does it? No. Not at all.
No, he just
there's
gets
a
shot
lot
in
of
the
that.
head.
Yeah, but there's a lot of those things in this movie. Desperado, I mean.
At least he wasn't using the N-word.
Yeah.
Because that's like, Tarantino loves to use the N-word, okay?
He does.
Yeah.
Much to Spike Lee's chagrin.
Well, and again, I mean, you give a word power like that, you're setting yourself up for problems when someone says it and you get mad. So maybe Tarantino's got us all because he's using it and taking away the power of it. But look, Tarantino is a clown with shit like that. And just there's a lot of stuff about Tarantino that bugs me. And I have a hard time looking past it with his movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's hard to separate the artist from the art at times.
Well, and Rodriguez is just as bad. I mean, he cheated on his wife with Rose McGowan.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, his wife co-producer.
Yeah, who they have like 5 kids together or some shit.
Yeah, dude.
Like, cool, man.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know. It's just, like you said, it's hard to, like, the problem is like, when you look at someone like Scorsese, right? I know nothing about Scorsese's life.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's something that was sort of born out of this particular time period where suddenly directors were like vying to be rock stars, and
they're treated. Tarantino's treated as such.
Yeah, and you know what? Like when you have a publicist as a filmmaker, like to me that's a problem. Like I don't want to know anything about you. It's like you said, like like somebody like Harrison Ford. Like, as an actor, like, say what you want about the guy, and we know he's a grumpy old man and all that, but, like, for decades, nobody knew a goddamn thing about him, and I always appreciated that about him. Like, now we know everything about everyone all the time, and I would rather not. I just want to watch your movies.
That's what I love about my boy Keanu Reeves. He's, like,
right?
He's just doing, like, nice things for people, and him and Alex Winter still hang out, and they're making Bill and Ted 3. Fuck
That's
yes,
right.
Thank you, Jesus. But like, I don't need to know more about him.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, and that's even better when you find out something about somebody that it ends up being good. You know what I mean? Like, and that's somebody who like has to be out there. Like, I mean, the difference between acting and directing, like, these people have to keep their face and their name out there, and they have to keep stories being generated about them. But there are ways to do it, and then there are ways of like, just shut up already. And this particular time period with the independent film. You can't see me doing air quotes, but I'm doing them. That whole movement, like, it was maddening to me at the time. Like this idea that anything anyone was saying was new, and we were have to deal with their personalities and whatever. I don't know, man. It was just mental.
Well, that's the thing, and that brings us right back to Desperado. It's like you said, it's hard to separate the art from the artist. And Desperado, knowing what we know about Robert Rodriguez now, and Tarantino again. We wouldn't be talking about Tarantino at all if he weren't in this fucking movie. And we've never covered a Tarantino film on this podcast. Do you know why? Because all it would be is me going, this movie's okay, but it's fucking overrated as shit. Like, all of his movies are just, oh my God.
Yeah, and you know what? Another weird thing is, now watching the movie now, having known now that Robert Rodriguez is this sort of guitar-playing guy, and, he kind of fancies himself this sort of character. Now I'm watching the movie and I'm like, is this just his fantasy about who he wants to be?
Or who he could have been?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, let me put it this way. Robert Rodriguez seems like the kind of guy like I'd want to have a beer with. Tarantino seems like the kind of guy like the guy at the party that like everyone kind of is like, get away from me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Talk to me about some obscure Ingmar Bergman film, dog. Like, I don't care. Get out of here.
You know what? He wouldn't talk about the Ingmar Bergman film, though. He would mention
too highbrow for him.
Yeah, he'd be talking about some bullshit Z-grade 70s sexploitation flick and or the French New Wave.
Yeah. Ugh, I really love it. No one cares, dude. Just get the fuck out of here.
You mean you've never seen My Name Is Whatever? Oh my God, I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's the thing with Rodriguez. Like, I get the sense that Rodriguez is having fun making this movie. And like you said, maybe it's a little bit of like wish fulfillment fantasy play with him. But, I mean, there's some scenes in this movie that work. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Pretty much anything with Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek is bad, real bad. Salma Hayek is young in this movie and not experienced as an actress.
Yeah, let's say she's fresh. And I think she's a really good actress now. Like, I enjoy her performance here. Look, obviously, she is a beautiful woman, and that's how she got the part, and who could deny that? But then again, is it her fault that character is so fucking poorly written, and she's only in it for like 2-3 scenes?
And pretty much she's just there to show her tits.
Yeah, and that's, again, not her fault. That's the way he wrote it, and it's really obnoxious.
Yeah, it just, her character feels like an afterthought, a total afterthought.
Look, maybe this isn't the movie for character development and whatever, but we're dealing with a character who is effectively seeking revenge because his girlfriend/wife was murdered by the main villain. And so now we have this avenue open up with this new character that he kind of falls in love with, but doesn't really. They just sort of throw them together. They don't have any chemistry, so that, like, they weren't able to fill in those blanks. But, like, could they not have had her character in it more and sort of represent the out for this character, for el-mariachi, so that, like, it doesn't make sense to continue to do this? Never mind. Oh, now I'm jumping ahead, but, like, what the fuck is with this bullshit that they're brothers? Him and Bucho?
That feels like that is the shoehorn of shoehorn. Plot convenience, plot contrivance, man.
It's like, I was so bored by that point anyway, and then it was like, you're bored? Let me make it really boring now.
Well, and they reveal that they're brothers, but it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter at all.
It has no effect on anything, because you know that he's not going to kill her to, I don't know, to save his relationship with his brother. Get out of here.
And you know what? Obviously, I do my research as well when we do these things. And, like, evidently there was a whole scene where he does kill Bucho at the end. Like, there's supposed to be some ultimate shootout at the end, and then he just cut the whole thing out.
I'm really disappointed. Do you know who they cast as Bucho before he died?
Raul Julia.
Oh my God. God, can you imagine this movie with Raul Julia?
Yeah. You know what? I would have look, he would have been great, obviously. But, like, the idea that you would have had Antonio Banderas and Raul Julia in the same movie and they don't interact but for one scene,
well, that would be beyond infuriating.
Yeah, man, I would have gone nuts.
Joaquim de Almeida that's the thing, like, they don't even give him anything to do, so he's...
No!
Right?
He gets to yell about not knowing the phone number for his thing, which I thought was really funny, by the way. What's the phone number for my limo? I thought that was a good thing.
Right. He's not given anything to do, and like you said, I mean, they show the villain from the first film in, like, the beginning of the film, and that's the scene that I really like. They show him in, like, a weird, like it's a dream.
It's a dream sequence, yeah.
Right. So it's Moko, and it's a guy in a white suit, and then coincidentally, Bucho is a guy in a white suit.
Yeah, apparently in Robert Rodriguez's world, if you wear a white suit, you're the villain.
Yeah. It feels like a wasted opportunity. This film does in some respects.
Let's talk about the scene with the ugly Americans.
Oh, right.
You know, what the fuck was that?
Why were they in that town?
What are they doing there? Why are they in that cantina? Just so we can make fun of dumb white girls and their prissy attitudes, I guess. I don't know, man.
Asking for to margaritas, I guess.
Yeah, super weird.
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that is just, you're just like, really? Like, you couldn't have spent this time telling an interesting story. You spent this time just, like, showing Salma Hayek's tits, or, like,
I know, you can just imagine him, like, he's writing the script and he's like, oh, you know what? Remember those annoying white girls in that fucking bar the other day? Oh, I'm going to get them. Yeah.
I'll get them good.
There we go. I've immortalized them forever. That doesn't slow my movie down.
Right. Well, let's take a break, and when we get back, we'll finish talking about Desperado.
Who is Carl Kolchak?
He's a reporter.
Now that is news, Vincenzo. News! And we are a newspaper. We are supposed to print news, not suppress it.
With the INS.
What's an INS?
Independent news service, sir, founded in 1904 by Enrico Paluzzi.
Who seems to have a nose for the strange and unusual.
Well, last year in Las Vegas, I uncovered a series of murders that turned out to have been committed by a vampire.
And what is the Kolchak Tapes?
It's a podcast.
All about Carl Kolchak.
What's a Kolchak?
The Night Stalker.
And where can you get it?
On iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at www.kolchaktapes.com.
As foolish a game as any that Gory the Ghoul could make up.
Socks don't have to come in just black and white, and at Jilly's Socks and Such, you can find not only that unique pair of sassy socks, but also gifts for any occasion. Started by former teacher Lori and former student, now namesake Jillian, their store has a pair of socks for every event, personality, and interest. Be it a snarky pair for work, a pair emblazoned with your favorite sports team, or just something silly for lounging, Jilly's Socks and Such can have you sliding into your new favorite pair of socks today. I just recently picked up a pair of Bigfoot socks that are about as badass as they are comfy, and they are a perfect addition to my growing collection of socks. They are located at 3900 Old Cheney Road, Suite 202, Lincoln, Nebraska, and online at jillysocks.com. Mention the Culture Cast and get 15% off your next purchase at Jilly's, and remember, let your socks do the talking at Jilly's Socks and Such.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
Week after week, I'm mesmerized by the focus given great films and questionable films alike. But every episode is a learning and entertaining experience.
This is hands down the best movie podcast. They cover so many different genres across so many years, from obscure movies to blockbusters.
If there's only one podcast about movies and cinema that you listen to, make it this one.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
All right, so we are back, and we are finishing up talking about Desperado, where we're pretty much dragging this. We're hardcore dragging this movie.
Yeah, I want to like every movie I see. This movie I cannot like at all.
But do you like Robert Rodriguez's 10-minute cooking school? That is the question.
10-minute cooking school?
So on the Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Sin City, and Planet Terror, well, there was going to be a Planet Terror one, but I guess they never came out with it. But on Once Upon a Time in Mexico and Sin City, he had recipes for food, and he would cook it. Yeah, it's so, again, it's like that thing we were talking about where it's like Robert Rodriguez fancies himself a cool dude.
Yeah, he really does.
And I can't blame him because, like I said, seems kind of like a cool dude.
Yeah, if you get the opportunity to do something fun, you know what, you're right. I mean, look, he has every opportunity to let's make a kids movie, sure, and he made a series of them.
Make a movie my kids could watch. I get it.
Yeah, and you know what, he did make Sin City, and I can't be mad at that movie at all. I enjoyed that movie.
Which brings me to my next question. What is your favorite Robert Rodriguez film?
I think I just said it. I think it's
Sin City?
Yeah, I mean, because, like I said, it would be From Dusk Till Dawn, but, I don't know, that movie, look, I don't have a problem with a movie swapping genres halfway through if it's skillfully done, and I don't think it's skillfully done in that. Plus, I don't like his version of vampires, which they're really just, soft and easily whatever. Yeah, I mean, Sin City feels of a piece. You know what I mean? I like all of those stories, and I think they all work. And that was, he was going for innovation there by trying to make comic book art come to life, and I thought he achieved that. I really enjoyed that first movie. The sequel was garbage, but
Well, to be fair, nobody watched the sequel, so
that's true.
I don't know. Every time I watch From Dusk Till Dawn, I really like it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, and I say the first half. Let me just say, up until the vampires show up, it's really good because the stuff when they get to the titty twister, all that stuff in there is really good. One of my favorite lines of all time, as a matter of fact, is in that scene where you guys serve food, best food in Mexico. I kind of doubt it. I love that line.
And the scene with Salma Hayek dancing to After Dark by Tito and Tarantula.
Yes.
is amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Primarily because Tito and Tarantula is amazing. Tito La Riva is amazing.
Now, let's talk about Tito La Riva just for a second. Just because I'm always shocked when I watch, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Chris.
True Stories?
No. Oh, no, he's great in that.
I was going to say, that movie that no one has seen.
Oh, I love that movie.
That movie's great.
Pee-wee Herman, before he had Pee-wee's Playhouse, before he did Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he had a stage show with the Groundlings, which is you can get now. It played on HBO at the time. And in his Playhouse, he has a character who comes by named Hammy, who is like this kid in the neighborhood who's dressed with like a cowboy. And it's Tito La Riva, like without a beard and like a bad sort of white boy haircut, and like he's eating like ham sandwiches. That's why he's Hammy. And like every time I watch the original Pee-wee's Playhouse, I'm kind of fucking shocked. Like every single time I watch it, that is Tito La Riva. But nevertheless, there he is, and he was a groundling, and that was sort of where he got his start. So like even last night, my girl Jess and I were watching Desperado, and I was like, that's Hammy from Pee-wee's Playhouse while he's sitting at the bar.
I just always remember him as the character who effectively created the band Radiohead. That's where they got the name from.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right. His character in True Stories can hear tones from people because he's a Radiohead. So.
Right. Interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that's real. Like that's actually where which is just so weird. But I love Tito La Riva. He's great. Tito and Tarantula is amazing. If you've never listened to them and you've seen a Robert Rodriguez movie, you've listened to them. But
yeah, you have. Yeah, they're unavoidable.
Yeah. But I think, and this is going to be, you're probably going to hate me for this, but my favorite Robert Rodriguez movie,
yes,
I think it may be Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Really?
So I rewatched it.
Yeah.
And
that's right. Didn't you watch it by mistake?
No, I was just like, I had nothing going on. So I was like, I haven't seen this movie since it was in theaters. I saw it in theaters when I was 13 with my grandfather. And I remember watching it and being like, man, I don't know what's going on. But Once Upon a Time in Mexico is a film that is so ambitious in its like plot contrivances that it somehow works in spite of itself.
I probably need to revisit it, given the accolades you are bestowing upon it right now.
And it may be the best thing Johnny Depp has ever done.
No,
he is great in that movie. In a way that it's just Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp.
Right. The best performance of Johnny Depp as Johnny Depp. I will give you that. His performance as Ed Wood, to me, holds a very dear place in my heart. He's really good in that movie.
Never seen it.
What?
I only watch bad Tim Burton movies, okay?
Oh, dude.
I only watch...
I don't know that I can continue to talk to you, my friend.
To be fair, if I'm talking about Johnny Depp as a character, as opposed to Johnny Depp just kind of playing a variation on himself, Johnny Depp as a character, best performance is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, oh my God, he's superlative in that.
He is essentially doing what fucking Jim Carrey talks about in that super cringy documentary on Netflix. He is channeling Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, man, he is that guy. In the most exaggerated, that's the Hunter Thompson we all want, is that version of him. I totally agree with that.
And Benicio del Toro's in it too. And he's great.
He's fucking phenomenal in it. Yeah. You have to see Ed Wood. I'm totally serious about that.
No, you're not the first person to tell me that.
Well, what is your problem?
Hey man, it's on that list. That
you watch Once Upon a Time in Mexico again, you haven't seen Ed Wood. That's a problem.
But talking about someone else who kind of fucking has eaten their career, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I think I can't even begin to sort of approach that subject.
He seems like he's gone off the deep end completely. He gets his lines fed to him in an earpiece. Are you trying to become Marlon Brando?
Yeah, I think he is.
Right? He must be.
There's no other explanation. This is a guy who just never seemed all that comfortable with fame to begin with, which was sort of foisted upon him as like a teen heartthrob. And I think he worked so hard to get away from that and turn into this other thing. And then he became this superstar again. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe he's just not comfortable being in boxes and he keeps trying to sabotage himself. If that's the case, then, you know, bravo.
Remember
good
when he
work.
played Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, I think I watched a couple of minutes of that thing. But, yeah, there's no way I was going to go whole hog into that.
Yeah, don't. I watched the whole thing and, man, it's dumb. But,
yeah.
You know, Johnny Depp, so... I used to love Johnny Depp, but man, he's just ugh.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been a fan of his whole career, and like I don't know, like he'll find his way back. He's done it before he blew it again.
I hope so, because he's Captain Jack Sparrow's kind of run its course. Like,
yeah, if he could stop doing that, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, wow, and stop playing fake Hunter S. Thompson, because the Rum Diary, man.
Yeah, I know, Matt. And you know what? And stop with your bundle of tics. Like, just finding some weird way to speak is not a new thing. Just do your thing, man.
And it's disappointing because Black Mass was actually not a bad movie.
No, it was pretty good. I thought he was actually pretty good in it. Yeah, look, I'm from Boston, so I'm super critical of Bostonian accents in movies, and I thought he did a pretty creditable job, actually.
Yeah.
You know what was weird in that movie is that they fucking went ahead and gave him the contact lenses, so he just looks like an alien in it.
Well, he looks like an alien also because of his head. He has like the bald piece on too, so it's like his head's like gigantic.
Yeah. It's so weird. It's unusual.
Like, if I look at Johnny Depp's career, Once Upon a Time in Mexico being what I would consider to be, and this is, I mean, it's probably going to change. Like, give me time to watch more Robert Rodriguez films that I haven't seen in a while, and it'll probably change. But like, it's kind of like the last movie I saw him in that I kind of care about.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been Black Mass, but the movie's okay. His performance, there's not enough of it. I mean, Rango, he's essentially just riffing on Fear and Loathing.
Right.
So, again, not a wholly original character. And, Pirates of the Caribbean, that first one is phenomenal, but...
Yeah, dude. I like the second one as well, honestly. I like the second one.
Well, the second one has... Johnny Depp gets upstaged by a CGI character. So.
He does, but you know what? Everyone was going to, because that is one of, if not my favorite villain of all time. Davy Jones is a fucking achievement, man.
It's a bummer that we probably will never see the next Pirates movie, but the tease at the end of the last one.
I know, it was so exciting. That was the only good part of that entire enterprise.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, let's bring that guy back. That's the best thing. Sure. Give him a TV series. Put him on Netflix.
Yeah, right. But, coming back to Desperado, Once Upon a Time Mexico, and El-Mariachi, I mean, that's a trilogy of films.
Sure, kind of.
I mean, there's the same character, right? At least in two of them.
Sure. Oh, let's talk for a second. Let's not wrap this up just yet, because I want to talk about the fact that in the, not the ultimate fight scene at the end, I guess it is, because they don't really have one past this, when the two other mariachis show up to help him.
And one of them is the guy from the first movie?
From the first movie, which is confusing.
Especially if you've seen the first movie.
Yeah, and so, like, even then I was just like, oh, so this isn't a sequel at all. This is a whole other mariachi story, right? Because here's the actual mariachi. No, this is a different guy, different character now. But I like this idea of this sort of, like, network of mariachi killers, like, throughout Mexico. Like, that was intriguing to me. Another wasted opportunity.
And they expand upon it in the second film, or the third film.
Right.
Yeah.
But, more of that, please. More missile firing from guitar cases.
More Enrique Iglesias.
Sure.
Oh man, because he's the mariachi dude in Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Yeah, great.
Ooh, yeah.
More Cheech Marin, am I right?
Oh, can't get enough of Cheech.
I don't think an actor has been put to as good use in anyone's films as Cheech Marin has with Robert Rodriguez.
That's a good little marriage there, those two guys.
Especially in From Dusk Till Dawn. Boy.
Yeah. Oh God. He's great. He's got that whole scene pretty fantastic. Don't see this movie if you haven't.
Or you could just watch the cool parts on YouTube.
Right. There you go. This movie makes a great trailer. That's, very cool.
Yeah, there are cool parts. Like we've been saying, like, I think unfortunately, like, I went into this podcast getting ready to defend this movie, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized there's some cool parts.
Yeah.
But
do you want to sit through the whole thing again ever? Are you going to? Probably not.
I don't know. I'll watch the scenes. I'll listen to the music, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not not worthy. It's not good enough to justify the bad parts, and it's not bad enough to justify anything, really.
I mean, if you want to watch if you want to watch the movie that this should have been and wasn't, but it could have been if he had really gone for it, go watch Machete.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? Like, Machete is essentially what this movie should have been.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I didn't even like that movie, but it's better than this one.
Right, like, Machete doesn't take itself seriously at all. I mean, it came into existence off of a fake trailer sandwiched in the Grindhouse.
Yeah.
Double feature. So, that movie is dumb as fuck, but it's kind of entertaining in a stupid way.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll give it that. Totally. That's more in line with the type of movie this was supposed to be, which is essentially a 2 a.m. Cinemax film that you're stoned and you're like, what is this? I'll just watch this.
Well, yes, it is believable that in this film, Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, I can imagine them being intimate with one another. Danny Trejo and Jessica Alba,
maybe not.
Not so much.
Yeah.
As much as I love Danny Trejo, because that man, I'm pretty sure, is like a saint, like an actual like human saint.
Got to be. And I have enjoyed his tacos at Trejo's Tacos in Los Angeles. They're really good. So,
are they?
Oh my God, they're really good, man. Like, I haven't been to the donut shop. I can't speak to those. But as far as Trejo's Tacos go, do yourself a favor and get one if you can.
If you want to, like, read a story about, like, a human being who turned his life around.
Yeah. That's true.
Danny Trejo, like 100%.
Totally, man. Yeah, he's doing the good work.
Yeah. And he's also second cousin to Robert Rodriguez.
Is he really?
Yeah, go fucking figure.
I wouldn't have figured.
Second cousin, and he didn't realize that until they were filming Desperado.
How weird.
Right? So
imagine
weird.
Casting someone and finding out they're your family.
Right? Bizarre. Hey, imagine finding out your family's the Golden State Killer. And on that note, what would you give Desperado out of 5?
2. I'm gonna give it a 2. 1 for Antonio Banderas, and 1 for I don't know, Steve Buscemi. There you go.
Buscemi is good.
He's real good in it. Wasted in it, but he's real good. Couldn't have spent fucking another 5 minutes with those two characters and their relationship. No, we got to see Tarantino tell like one of the lamest jokes in the history of cinema.
Right. Yeah, I would give it like a probably like a 2.5. I give that 0.5 for that one scene in the movie that I like that you don't.
Oh, the opening dream sequence?
The opening dream sequence. Something about it, I don't know. Something about it that just like clicks with me. But this is like 0.5, so pretty much we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
What do you think it has on Rotten Tomatoes?
I imagine people liked it more than I did. I'm going to hope it is less than 70, but I have a fear that it's much more.
62%.
Whoa!
79% audience score.
Oh, okay. See, there you go. I was kind of right.
This is something I did on the last podcast, and I'm going to do it again on this one, because, this is something about Rotten Tomatoes that I think people like to overlook, is that it's ultimately an aggregator. They don't really write. They write a little aggregate, like, synopsis of the reviews at the top, but I mean, ultimately, these are reviews written by other people. So, last time, when I was with Eric, him and I was kind of just going down the list and looking at reviews. So, kind of the two big ones that I kind of probably going to focus on from here on out are whoever writes for Chicago Sun-Times, be it Ebert, and whoever writes for Rolling Stones, be it Travers or someone else. But to be fair, it's been Peter Travers for...
Usually Travers, yeah.
Yeah. So, Roger Ebert gives it a 2 out of 4, which is classified as rotten. What Happens looks terrific. Now, if Rodriguez can harness that technical facility to a screenplay that's more story than setup, he might really have something. Right, Roger Ebert?
I'll agree with that.
Peter Travers, however, gave it a tomato, not a splat. Desperado is best when Rodriguez lets his playful side cut through the blare of a born filmmaker indulging his first chance at high-end Hollywood fireworks.
Also not incorrect. That's true.
It's kind of a good middle ground between the two.
Yeah, I'll agree with all of that. I mean, I don't ever want to watch the movie again, but like as a sort of things that I can appreciate the film. Maybe he like worked out a lot of the sort of bullshit too in order to sort of step out. Like clearly that's the story he'd been wanting to tell because he already told it, and now he got a chance to tell it a little bit bigger. And I think he's gotten better as a filmmaker, a little more restrained, and it is what it is.
Not bad things.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've said it enough. It's okay. The movie's okay. No, it's not. It's garbage. But it does what it means to do, I guess, and,
Not everyone can be given free reign by the studios like Tarantino.
No.
Not everyone should be given free reign either.
No, not at all. I don't know. I agree with what Roger Ebert had said. Like, if he can get a good script, then I think he can make a great movie someday.
Or a great graphic novel.
Sure, something.
Yeah. But let's take one more break, and we'll play the preview for the next Culture Cast.
About a year ago, we gave this city RoboCop.
Ready for duty, partner?
Nothing I'd rather do. I think he's worked out pretty well. Have a seat. This is a bust. But things have become a little rougher out there. This unit needs millions of dollars in parts. You see, RoboCop's off warranty.
He's one of mine. And I want him back on his feet.
I believe that Murphy's case was unusual, but not unique. We can find someone else. Someone to whom the prospect might even be desirable.
And now, we need a law enforcement unit capable of meeting the enemy on his own ground.
She's screaming psychotic, sir.
Well, we aren't planning to build a toy and carry enough firepower to get the job done.
I got good news for you. You're going to have a chance for immortality.
With great pleasure, I give you RoboCop 2. Yes. Things will be a lot quieter with this boy around.
That thing is a killer!
Kane! Let's step outside.
You're obsolete!
Take it over, creep. Behave yourselves!
That's right. On the next Culture Cast, we're going to be talking about RoboCop 2.
Oh, boy, I'm so excited.
Right, and speaking of Sin City, RoboCop 2's script was written by Frank Miller, the gentleman who wrote and inked and drew Sin City?
Yeah. No, did he ink it?
I don't know, but man, Frank Miller hasn't been relevant in a long time.
Okay, we're going to talk about this when we talk about that movie, but, during the 80s, he was pretty right on. It's undeniable the influence of Batman: The Dark Knight Returns has had on all of comic books since then. Can't ever take that away from him. I mean, you go back and look at it, and you can see some of the fascist tendencies that he would eventually sort of spin off into are there, but it was a fresh and interesting take on a character that sort of needed to be done, and I think he did it. So God bless for that. But yeah.
Well, I guarantee you we're not going to have such high praise for RoboCop 2 because you will be joining me on the next Culture Cast because Eric will still be in Egypt. So
right.
and I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of nice stuff to say about RoboCop 2.
I will now redouble my efforts to find good things to say because I felt this was entire just savagery on poor Desperado.
Well, unfortunately, it is an action sequel, and while El-Mariachi is not a great movie, I can tell you without a doubt RoboCop is a great movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Possibly near perfect action film.
It really is. What do you got there? Paul Verhoeven, man. When he hit hard.
And let's be honest, Hollow Man's cool too.
What is?
Hollow Man.
Oh, Hollow Man. No, that movie is terrible.
That movie is really bad.
Okay, all right. Jeez.
That movie is really bad. But I thought you thought I was being serious there for a second.
Yeah, I did. I was really worried about you. Okay.
But until then, where can people find you, Mike?
They can find my YouTube channel, OughtFiveFilms. I've got a couple of things on there, things you can check out and enjoy. Mainly my show You've Never Seen. I'm trying to shed some light on movies that were maybe once popular and are no longer, or were never popular to begin with and need your love. So check me out there. And you can get me on the Twitter, I guess. I'm Father Malone with _ and a 0 for my O.
Hey, we all have to make sacrifices.
Yes, we do. And we got to stop mentioning it.
Stop mentioning the sacrifices that I've made. Seriously.
And if you come to Las Vegas, come to the Haunted Museum, and I will guide your tour.
And he's the 5-star tour guide on Yelp.
You're goddamn right I am.
There we go. There's the vim and vigor we all want. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at CultureStash. Like Mike said, you can follow him on Twitter at Father_Malone. Replace the O with a 0. You can follow my wayward co-host Eric on Twitter at Tychomagnetics, but he's in Egypt. He's not posting anything, so go yell at him if you want him to post stuff. And head on over to cultureshock.com where you can find out more about today's episode. You'll find links to iTunes where you can rate and review the show, and to Patreon where you can kick a couple dollars our way. Donors get access to unreleased episodes like our Infinity War addendum and our Ready Player One addendum if you want to listen to me talk with some buddies about those two films, because we had way too much to talk about. And I'm not going to bore you with a 2-hour podcast, though we used to do that if you're into that sort of thing. And a guest well, never mind, I don't know where I was going with that. Big thanks, as always, to Eric and Wovoka for our intro song, and to my good buddy Justin Scott for the outro song, and to Mike for taking time out of his busy schedule, at being the 5-star fucking host with the most, to drag poor Robert Rodriguez through the goddamn mud.
Well, it's only what he deserved.
To be fair, you're right. And make sure to check out the next Culture Cast.
Posted with the crew. You know how we do, I'm just 2-step, drink in my right hand, phone in my other hand, getting to the money, oh man, 2-step, posted with the crew, yeah, you know how we do, hey,
2-stepping, know what I'm saying, 1, 2, 1, 2, been jamming, aka the Black Tea, you know what I'm saying,